Welcome back to the Market Frontlines. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk, and this one is going to be good. I'm back sitting down with a CEO who doesn't just run a mining company. He's quietly positioned himself at the center of one of the most strategically, critically supplied chains in the world. Have you guessed who it is yet? That's right. Lewis Black of Almonty Industries is here with us. He's not actually even just chasing headlines. He's building leverage. Lewis has navigated geopolitics, financing pressure, market skepticism, and capital cycles while locking down one of the most important non-Chinese tungsten assets on the planet. Lewis, it's always an epic roller coaster ride with you. Welcome back. I am excited to get into this.
Well, thank you for having me. I just noticed that my glasses aren't straight. It means one of my ears is going either higher or lower. I don't know whether that's due to tungsten price or just generally our stock price. But
I think that's just the markets in general.
Okay, that's obviously the explanation. But it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's kick this into drive and actually just start here. Everyone talks about assets. They talk about grades and jurisdiction, but almost no one talks about human capital as a strategic moat. Now, you're operating in a space where technical expertise, geopolitical navigation, and that long-term trust matter more than ever right now. So tell us, who are the irreplaceable people inside Almonty right now? And if I was to pull that curtain back, Lewis, what would investors be absolutely shocked to learn about the way you built and protected that team?
Well, I think it's worth pointing out that every metal is different. It's not unfair to say that the knowledge of, for instance, mining and processing tungsten has long diminished except in the hands of a few people because no one's been doing it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to build on that because this is something people whisper about but never really ask directly. You've been at this for years. Cycles have come and gone. Tungsten narrative has shifted from obscure to strategic to critical. How are you personally thinking about longevity, not just for the asset, but for yourself at the helm? And more to that, what does succession or legacy planning actually look like inside a company that is this geopolitically sensitive?
Well, we've always had a very good retention of personnel. We don't lose anybody. It's because we are essentially a unit, a family unit. We work together. We're not a dictatorial business. No one is walking around with airs and graces. Otherwise, they're out. And I like that area of familiarity. We have to operate and work together to succeed. Yes, I'm the face and I'm the one that goes out there and keeps it. I'm the conductor of the orchestra. But quite frankly, without a decent orchestra, your conductor is worthless. So in terms of succession, well, I think we're building a C-suite. We've built a C-suite. I don't like to have too much of a pyramid type system. I like a lot of people who have their own self-discipline. It's one of the criteria. If you look at the people I've hired in the C-suite, they're not mining guys. Generally, I find mining guys to be like having, dependent children. I like people who can stand on their own 2 feet, have a history of execution in their fields, and have the self-discipline to motivate themselves without endless amounts of praise, awards, or titles. And so that's what I've really much focused on. I'm very fortunate that because of the kind of company we are, we've been able to attract some really outsized quality into the company. So these guys are way above our pay grade in normal circumstances, but they want to be in this company, not because, I'm a charming, wonderful person, which may actually be true, but it's more to do with the fact that the environment that you operate in is very much of self-sufficiency. It's built on innovation and efficiency. That culture doesn't change if somebody from Australia decides to take an axe to me while I'm minding my own business in a coffee shop.
Well, that's, so beautifully put that you said, you've built this community. And I remember being at Panascara and sitting down with some of the team members there. And it's a family. It's not just a job. These people build from the heart and they are loyal from the heart, not because of a paycheck, because they truly they just enjoy being there and the surroundings and all of it. So what you've built is absolutely, it goes far beyond what any headline is going to tell you. So kudos to you for sure.
It's very difficult to recruit good people. And it's a big difference between somebody who looks good on paper and who actually can deliver. And execution is the key to me. If I find people that I think are capable of executing and are married to this idea of working in this type of organization, we don't lose them. It's a rarity because we are ultimately born out of being a junior miner. We've now transitioned into, what do they call this? Mid cap?
Mid cap, yeah.
And we are the dominant leaders in our space, the last credible man standing. We are attacked and vilified on multiple occasions by our competitors, and they try and steal our guys all day long. And I don't have to stand over my guys. My guys know where they want to be. They want to be at something that's real, has longevity, has prospects, isn't just a flash in the pan, and is genuinely committed to execution, and of course its shareholders. We actually really, the culture in our company is we really appreciate our shareholders, mainly because I'm the second largest one, so of course they have to. But because that's an integral part. They always say, in a football match, the 12th man is the crowd. That's our shareholders. Our 12th man is the shareholders. And so the guys are aware that their actions impact shareholders. So that keeps everybody very focused on what they have to do.
Well, I want to actually push into that awareness a little bit more and lean into the latest report, Louis, that just dropped. When Bank of America initiates with a buy at $20 price objective, calls multiples conservative.
US dollar.
US dollars, you're right.
Not Canadian peso.
Not pesos,
okay.
US dollars. Okay. And they also highlight your ninefold volume growth and first quartile cost trajectory. That's not casual coverage. That is institutional validation of Almonty Industries as strategic infrastructure. That's huge. So here's the deeper question I have then. When a bank of that scale effectively frames you as the Western tungsten vehicle, does that fundamentally change your negotiation power with governments, defense contractors, and capital markets? Or do you believe that the real leverage shift hasn't even begun yet?
There's a lot of scrutiny, due diligence, liability. You have to have a level of compliance that is beyond, for sure, 99% of tungsten junior miners. I think it's another analyst. Yes, it's a tier one wirehouse, we're the first tungsten company to featured by a tier one wirehouse, but we're also ultimately the first tungsten company to be featured by Bloomberg rated analysts. So this was not something which was, unexpected. It's just part of the progression. I think somebody used the headline, "Oh, you're going to be the China of the West." I didn't like that title.
No.
And I also, in terms of leverage, I think, and this may sound a bit odd, this isn't about showing, a great quarter. And of course, we're going to show great quarters. I'm not thinking 3 months out. I'm thinking 30 years out. What is this company going to look like in a generation, over a generation? Because we have the reserves to get there. That's no doubt. Am I still going to be around in 30 years? Well, I hope I'm still alive. Let me see. Yeah, I should be. But
let me do the math.
Yeah, I just did the math. It's okay. No, I should just be hanging on in there. But ultimately, you are the dominant player. You have multi-jurisdictional risk, profiles, because you obviously operate in different territories, and that's going to continue to increase. As I said in my forum yesterday, there are plans afoot, which I think will be quite delightful for my shareholders, shocking for the rest of my competitors. And I think ultimately, we don't work with traders, never work with traders. We've always dealt direct. We've always got our hard floors with no cap on the upside. We've always got premium, above market premium pricing. There's a reason we get these things, because we actually deliver. They know that they can rely on us better to scalp, other tungsten companies on price and prepayments and all these things that they do. And that subsidizes what they're giving me, these customers. But no, I'm not looking at leveraging. I'm looking at cementing our position. That's more important to me.
Louis, what does legacy look like for you?
Well, it depends who you're meaning. My competitors?
Whew, no, what does legacy look like for you with Almonty?
Oh, I was just one part of the machine. I think, ultimately I'm a cog. Any gearbox needs a series of cogs to rotate. I'm just the cog. The engine is what we do, the tungsten, and the team are the different cogs. That's all this is. I'm just one part of the gearbox. That's
And is that the message that you'd want to leave behind, or would you want to? What would be the one message you would be like, "This is my legacy. I want to leave behind"?
Well, given that they won't let me build a statue with me giving the bird to everybody, okay, because
I
that would
don't
be considered to
understand
be
that.
inappropriate. No, I think what you're talking about, am I dead? What's my legacy?
No.
I'm not dying, Lyndsay.
No, I know that.
Unless you know something, do I check under my car later? Is that going to be an issue? What do you mean?
You
I
built
don't.
such a strong community and a strong foundation. It's so important to carry that on. So what would be that legacy message that you would carry on?
I think you have to remember in these things that you are part of a machine. And for that machine to work, it needs to be well-oiled. It needs to be run gently. It needs to be run correctly. The speed of it must be managed correctly. And never believe your own bull. That's really the key. I mean, quite frankly, it's fatal when you start. And know that you can always be wrong. That's the other thing that drives me insane
okay
about some of my competitors. That you see them making the same mistake over and over again, throwing someone else's money at it. It's a disaster. I'm wrong all the time, but I try and be right more in a day than wrong. And if I'm wrong, I pivot and correct it. I never say I can't be wrong. That would be an insane approach. So that would be my legacy. Don't believe your own bull and know that you can't always be right. And if you are wrong, fix it before it becomes a drama.
I love that. Such a great saying for sure. We've noted that one. Now, Lewis, let's push into something a little bit uncomfortable. However, after saying that, I'm not really sure that there's much that makes you uncomfortable with all of this. So regardless, I'm going to ask anyways. The tungsten market has not always treated Almonty in line with its strategic importance. There are relationships, state interests, supply chain politics, and longstanding market dynamics at play here. So candidly, has Almonty ever been intentionally boxed in by larger market forces? And, if it has, who benefits from keeping you discounted and how are you breaking that grip?
I'm not really worried about that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the more dominant you become and the more successful you become in your sector, the more people want to try and take your legs away. I'm a traditional classic fighter. I don't like anybody mess with the company or with my shareholder value. These are the two things that are sacred to me. Protection of value is absolutely key. Anybody messes with the value, you're messing with my shareholders, which means that you've got to fight with me, and I will fight tooth and nail. I won't put myself or the company into harm's way by pursuing, vanity issues or let's seek revenge. Stupid emotions. But if you try and, corral the business, I will find a way to break out. There's no one size fits all. I will find a way to keep rising because ultimately, as the great saying goes, you can't stop a rising tide.
So great. Well, I'm going to bring up then a word here that makes most people shift in their seats. Bondage. Stay with me here. Whether it's financing structures or offtake agreements, sovereign partnerships, or capital constraints, every mining company at some point answers to someone. So where are you truly free inside Almonty right now? And the flip of that, where are you still tied to agreements or alliances that could either supercharge your expansion and M&A ambitions or quietly limit them?
Well, interesting use of word bondage. I have to be honest, it's probably a first.
Shocking.
I think the key here is to constantly seek growth, but not commitment. I think the issue really becomes when, I know one company, for instance, like that movie, The Producers, who actually sells more capacity than they can actually produce, because they need the headline. I've always felt that, alliances are good as long as everyone understands their boundaries. I find that, having debt or prepayments owed to customers or, stream deals or royalty deals, I find these to be anti-value for shareholders. And I know initially it's a bit of a tough old, trek, and everyone's going, oh, but we don't have this. Patience is the key. Don't rush into a mistake. You can all exist at a certain level of respect for each other in terms of your relationships with your customers. And you work for your customers to deliver the best product on time and to spec. It's very important. It doesn't mean that you have to be pliable. It doesn't mean that you have to be cheap. And it certainly doesn't mean that you have to be polite. But ultimately, you have a function and they have a function. Their function is to pay you the money you've agreed, and your function is to deliver to them what you've sold them. And after that, that's it. That's your relationship.
Well, okay. I really like that. I want to flip over just quickly to Sangdong and, some of our final minutes here. You flip the switch on. Let's look at March ahead. What's the goal for March? Have you sold any? Are you fully producing? Like, what's the goal for March? What can we expect?
The wet commissioning, is ongoing. We'll start to see data being generated during March as we put throughputs. Let's see what, ultimately this thing, we don't need the income to survive. So we are well capitalized. One of those, wait and see. Remember, there's a lot of moving parts. This is not about just grinding and putting through. We have to make sure the water treatment plant's doing what it's doing, the thickeners, and there's a whole series of things. What we can say is that commercial mining began in December. We have now we filled our ROM pad already on surface. We've ended up with higher grades and actually more tonnage than our block model initiated. It basically initially implied that we would receive. So that's positive. I would say that data will be driven in March. Let's see. I mean, the good news is that if the grind is right, if we get the grind right out the gate, because it's a flotation system, you'll start to see output very quickly.
Well, it's all very exciting. And I'm so thrilled to see that the movement is happening forward and already it's positive outcomes. So much congratulations to you on all of this. And just keep moving forward. And I look forward to more conversations with you because this one's phenomenal yet again.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Thank you very much.
Again, that was Lewis Black, CEO of Almonty Industries, trading on the NASDAQ under ALM, on the TSX under AII, and on the Frankfurt under ALI1. We all know that there is so much more to this story, so head over to almonty.com to read it all. And if tungsten is the quiet metal powering the next industrial era, then the real question is this: are you early to a structural shift, or are you watching capital wake up in real time to supply chain that cannot afford to fail it? I'm Lyndsay Malchuk with Abaton Media. This has been your Market Frontlines. Be sure to subscribe and stay in the know of conversations like this to drop soon. We'll see you next time.